So we're going to start a new unit right now, and the unit is called quadratics in factored form. So what we did in the previous unit is quadratics in vertex form. There's three forms for quadratic. There's the standard form, vertex form, and the factored form. So we're going to talk about how to go from one to the other. We're going to talk about the factored form. So you see them, all the three forms are right here on this wall, right? So we talked about the vertex form. This time we're going to talk about factored, but we're also going to talk about how to go from here to here or from here to here and so on and so forth. Okay? The first thing we're going to do, we're going to talk about expanding binomials. What does the word binomial mean? So the word binomial means it has two terms. Right? It's two terms. Bi means two. Okay? You wrote your test this week, right?
Pardon?
You wrote your test this week. Were you here yesterday?
Yeah.
You wrote the test this week, right? Okay. So a binomial is a polynomial with two terms. Okay? So whenever you see something that looks like x plus 4, this is two terms. Okay? So we call this a binomial. Now what's happening here is I have a binomial multiplied by another binomial. Okay? So that brackets means multiplication. So this is basically I have x plus 4 multiplied by 2x plus 1. How would I expand this? How would I multiply these two binomials? That is the question that we are going to solve right now. Anyone has any ideas on how to expand these binomials?
You have to plug in some values for x and for x.
That won't be expanding. That will be solving.
So
Okay?
you're going to use
For finding values.
whatever in bracket 1, you're going to multiply by bracket 2.
That's right. So whatever is in bracket 1, I have to multiply in whatever is in bracket 2, right? There's multiple ways to do this. So we're going to look at the different ways, and I'll tell you which one is the easiest to do and which one is the one that you probably want to do because it's the faster, okay? And I'll tell you which one I'll be doing on the board so you guys know, okay? But these are the multiple ways to actually see what is happening. So first we're going to look at the one where we use algebra tiles. Okay, so basically this is if you have a manipulative, you can do it using the manipulatives, and in this way you can see what's going on. Okay, so we're going to watch a video for that.
Soon I will demonstrate how to multiply binomials using algebra tiles. Before we begin, we must remember what each tile represents. The large blue square represents positive x squared. The long green bar represents positive x, and the small yellow square represents positive 1. When we turn them over to its red side, it represents its negative component. Negative x squared for the large red square, the long red bar negative x, and the small red square is negative 1. When we do not have colored tiles to use, we can still demonstrate using algebra tiles. We simply shade when we're referring to positive numbers and leave the blocks unshaded when looking at negative numbers. Let's begin. In example 1, we will multiply x plus 4 times 2x plus 1. When using algebra tiles, we start by drawing a T-chart. Along one side of the chart, we fill in the factors x plus 4 using algebra tiles, x, the long green bar, and 4 single units, giving us x plus 4. Across the top, for 2x plus 1, we draw 2 green bars and a single unit. Our product is the result that occurs inside of our chart.
Okay, so far it's just the setup. Okay, so we set it up. We have x plus 4, so I have 1x. So basically this is your x.
When we multiply,
the green one is your x, right? And then you have 4 single tiles. Are you guys okay with this? And then for the other one, which is the 2x plus 1, you have 2 of the x's and 1 tile. And now remember that we are multiplying them. So we're going to multiply this, the vertical, by the horizontal. So we're going to do the multiplication.
the term times outside. X times x gives me x squared. X times x, x squared. X times 1, 1x. And we do this for the entire chart until there's no terms or blocks left. 1 times x, x, 1 times x, x, and 1 times 1, which is 1. The bottom three lines are exactly the same as the line we just completed, leaving us x, x, and positive 1 all the way down. The solution are the tiles that remain inside this chart. As we can see here, we have 2x squared blocks, or 2x squared. We have 9 long green bars, or positive 9x, and 4 single units, which represents positive 4, giving us a final solution of 2x squared plus 9x plus 4. Let's try a second example, only this time we'll include a negative number. Once again, we'll draw our T chart. On the left-hand side,
So, what you see here, this right here is your multiplication. So when they multiply x by x, you say x squared, x by x, x squared, and so on and so forth, right? Are we okay with that multiplication part? Yes? And then what they did after is that they started collecting like terms. Yes, they don't look like terms, they look like squares, but still, this here is an x squared. So how many x squared do I have? 2. So that gives me 2x squared, right? How many x's do I have? So everything that is a rectangular teal shape, teal color, is an x. So I have 9 of them. So that gives me 9x, right? So they collected like shapes, which is in our terms, in mathematical terms, they're like terms. Are you guys okay with that? And in this case, they're all positive, so they all added together. Now we're gonna see what happens when I have the red squares or the red rectangles, what is going to happen then.
4, giving us a final solution of 2x squared plus 9x plus 4. Let's try a second example, only this time we'll include a negative number. Once again, we'll draw our T chart. On the left-hand side, we draw x plus 2. And across the top, we want to draw 3x minus 2. 3x, 1, 2, 3x bars. Now careful, with the negative, remember we want to draw the red bars. Multiplying, on the inside, we get x squared, a second x squared, and a third x squared. For the last two, just pay extra attention when you're working with negative signs. We have a positive times a negative, which gives us negative x. Positive x times negative 1, another negative x. Continuing down the line, positive 1 times x, positive x, positive x, positive x. And at the end, we have positive 1 times negative 1, which gives us negative 1 for both of these. The last line is exactly the same as the third. So we get x, 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 and 2 negatives. In our solution in this case, we see that we have 3x squared bars, or 3x squared. When it comes to the x bars, though, we notice that we have 6 positive x's, and we have 2 negative x's over here. When you have positive and negative of the same term, they're referred to as zero pairs, and in fact can be canceled. So we can cancel out this negative x and a positive x. This negative x and this positive x is another zero pair. We are then left with 4 positive x, and we write plus 4x. Our final 4 blocks here gives us negative 4, for a final solution of 3x squared plus 4x minus 4. This completes this lesson. Thanks for listening. In this lesson, I will
Does it make sense to what's happening? Okay, so what you have seen there, you've seen that each term was multiplied by the other term in the other binomial. Okay, and then we collected like terms at the end. Okay, so we're gonna So we don't usually do that unless the question asks you, but we don't usually do the algebra tiles unless you're really stuck and you don't know what you're doing and then you want to use algebra tiles as a method. Do I have them in the class? No, I don't, unfortunately, but I mean, you can always draw them. And as it was mentioned in the video, you can draw the positive ones with shade and the negative one as unshaded, okay? Or you can use colors. Now, the second method that we it's called a chart. So it's similar to the algebra tiles, but we're using numbers, okay? So when you do that, you draw a chart, as you can see here, right? You draw a chart with 3 by 3, okay? And then you split your binomials. So remember that I have x plus 4 times 2x plus 1, okay? So I put x in one of the squares and then plus 4 in the other one. And then I put 2x and then plus 1. What am I doing? Multiplying. So I have to do the same thing. So I have to multiply x by 2x. What do I get?
2x squared.
2x squared. Then I have x times 1.
1x, which is x.
X. 4 times 2x.
6x squared.
8x. Right? 4 times 2 is 8. 4 times 1? 4. Now I have 4 terms, right? Do I have like terms?
Yeah.
Which
8x
ones?
and
8x and x. So these are my like terms, right? What do they make? 9x. So that means my solution is going to be 2x squared plus 9x plus 4. Okay? So I took my binomial and I split it, right? I wrote each term in a separate box. And then I did my multiplication, excuse me. Yeah. The third way is expanding using the distributive property. So, do you guys remember the distributive property at all? Have I talked to you about the distributive property?
Yeah.
I think I have explained it with a taco question combo. Was it with you guys or with another class?
Yes.
When I said you went to Taco Bell and then you, each combo is 2 tacos and a pop, right? And then you wanted to buy 3 combos, right? What did you have to, how many tacos are you gonna get and how many Sprites are you gonna get? So, the combo is 2 tacos and a pop. You wanna buy 3 combos. How many tacos are you gonna get? 6 tacos and how many pops? 3 pops. And remember I told you that you're gonna multiply, it's the same thing as doing 3 times 2t, 3 times the pop, right? Remember that? All right. So that means this is called the distributive property, is because I'm multiplying that term by both terms inside the bracket. Okay? So we're gonna use the same property here, and then we are going to multiply. So we're gonna say that this is going to be multiplied by the whole binomial, and this is going to be multiplied by the whole binomial. Again, these are different ways that you can do this question. This is still not the simplest way, okay? But I'm showing you all the different ways. You don't have to learn all of them as long as you learn one. So, right now I can use the distributive property by multiplying each term by, inside the bracket, by the x. So 2x times x gives me 2x squared. 2x times 1 gives me, sorry, x times 1 gives me x. Then I have to multiply the 4 by the 2x, so that gives me 8x. And the 4 by the 1, which gives me 4.
I didn't see that.
You didn't see what? How did I set it up like this here? So you take the first term and you multiply it by your whole bracket. So it's x multiplied by my whole bracket. Okay? And so plus 4 multiplied by my whole bracket. Okay? Again, this is not the easiest way. There is an easier way. Okay? Then I use the distributive property. So I multiplied the x by each term inside the bracket.
Okay.
And now I'm going to collect like terms. So my like terms are these two. 2x squared is going to stay the same. X plus 8x, that gives me 9x, plus 4. All right? So now, let's look at the method that I will be using and the method that is the easiest because it's the fastest. So that method is called FOIL. Okay? So for FOIL stands for first, outer, inner, last. Okay? Have we talked about this before? Because I don't know, like I do this with my other classes, so I don't know if I talked with you about it. So, if I am going to multiply each term by both terms inside the other bracket, okay? So what would be my first terms? What would be my first terms in the bracket? X and 2x. So I'm going to have to multiply x by 2x. So this is my first term. I'm going to try to use similar colors to this. So I'm going to erase this. And I'm going to use blue. So x times 2x, so this is my first. Okay? What does that give me? 2x squared. After first comes, so FOIL. After first comes the outer. So what would be your outer two terms?
X and 1.
X and 1, right. So you're going to have to multiply x by 1. What does that give you?
X.
1x. Right? So you see that the x right now has been multiplied by both terms. Do you guys see that? Yes? You see that x has been multiplied by the 2x and has been multiplied by the 1, by the two terms inside the bracket. Now it's the turn for the 4 to be multiplied by the two terms. Okay? So what would be my inner? Because after outer comes the inner. What would be my inner terms?
4 and 2x.
The 4 and the 2x. So I'm going to have to multiply the 4 and the 2x, and that's going to give me 8x. And what would be my last terms? 4 and 1. And that is going to be 4 times 1, which is 4. So the first term was multiplied with the two terms. The second term was multiplied with the two terms, and I ended up with 4 terms. You guys agree? Now, can I collect like terms?
X and 8x.
So it's going to be 2x squared plus 9x plus 4. That's the same answer that I've been getting, right? In all different forms, I've been getting that answer. see me saying or you're gonna hear me say the word foil, and then you're gonna see me doing foil on the board. This is the method that I will be using. Are we okay with this? Okay. So let's do the first example. I have 5x minus 2 multiplied by x minus 3. What do I do first?
5x.
Times x. That's right. So 5x times x. So my first. What does that give me?
5x squared.
5x squared. And then
5x times 3 minus 3.
5x times negative 3. What does that give me? Negative 15x. Okay. Then
2 times minus 2.
negative 2 times x, which is negative 2x. And then
2 times 3.
negative 2 times negative 3.
Positive 5.
Positive 6. Can you guys turn off the ringer? Who's that one? So negative 2 times negative 3, that gives me positive 6, right? Now I'm going to collect like terms. So my like terms are the negative 15x and the negative 2. So what am I going to end up with? 5x squared minus 17x plus 6. Are we okay with this? Okay, so this is what's going to happen. You guys are going to do the rest. But before we move on to the next one, what do you think? Like, if I have something like this, how is that similar to what I've been doing? If I have 6x plus 1 squared,
See, that basically means you multiply bracket by what? Multiply the first bracket by the other bracket.
by which one?
The second,
What's the second?
which is 6x plus 1.
So I'm multiplying 6x plus 1 by itself, right?
Yeah.
That's what it means. So it means that's the same thing as writing it 6x plus 1 times 6x plus 1, right? Yeah? Okay, so whenever you see something squared, that's the same thing as writing it twice. Now you can do your fourth. Okay? Go ahead and do these questions.